Hey everyone, how are you doing today? How is everyone doing today? Okay, I think we're good to go. Let me press the recording. Oh, notifications on Discord are working. That's good. Okay, let me switch the screen and let's keep rolling. The focus on my camera is again broken. uh, okay, let's go. Let me remove the streaming panel. Hey everyone, today we will be continuing working with Pulumi. I think uh, instead of focusing on like expanding our module, what I'm going to do today is actually exploring like other functionality in Pulumi. Because like just expanding the code to support more things, I mean it's good. It's just more of the same. And I do want to learn a little bit more about other areas of the tool. So that's going to be my focus for today. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I'll be streaming maybe for like an hour and a half or something. Right, with that, let's go. Okay. All right, we have our project. I think we will focus right now more on the doc side, or maybe I can show where we are at. I have my Pulumi account. I have this project called VPCs, and here I have a stack called dev inside of it. And here we created a custom resource that creates VPC. Yeah, I would say it's relatively complex, but it's good progress. Now we can see all resources created with this stack here. Okay, so we have our VPC and then a bunch of resources. And then we have this PKJ index custom VPC. So this is our custom resource and it has some custom outputs. Okay, cool. Right, so I think we will just focus more on the doc side and like just try different things. See how far we can get. Okay, this is just getting started tutorial. We don't need this. Okay. This is the program itself. That's fine. It has the resources and then export statements. We then run Pulumi up. Yeah, we did this many times. Pulumi stack output. Let's run this and see what this stuff is actually doing. I will probably have to. We need to relog in. Okay, let's check we are logged in with... Oh, I didn't press the recording button. Okay. Alright, if this is a recording and you're watching this later, right now I'm continuing working with Pulumi and now I will try to explore more features of the tool. So in particular, I'm mostly interested in the different stacks, like how do I create like dev test prod, those kind of things. So I am going through their documentation and yeah, and exploring. Okay, I can look into the account. My Pulumi app, Pulumi stack. Output. Okay. Yeah, that's something else I really wanted to fix, but like I couldn't figure out how I do this. Maybe we can actually do this. So they were saying that you can have resource outputs. And we did the resource output over here. But then you can also have a stack output where you need to do it somewhere here. And the last time I was trying this out, I didn't make it to work. Like I don't know. I'm not yet sure how to do this. Okay. I do want also to find how to auto accept this plan because it's annoying to submit it every time. Right. This didn't break. Debug, config file, no, parallel, no. Refresh, okay, replace, show config, skip preview. Okay, -y. It says no output values. I don't understand. Okay, we have here an output. I do Pulumi stack output. I'm so confused. My thinking process is I should be able to access whatever I did in the register outputs. Like this. I don't get it. I really don't. Let me do something else. Hmm. I will create another VPC and I want to play with these exports a little bit because I don't understand how they work. Maybe other VPC ID. This will be other vpc.id. Does seem like I'm missing something. I don't quite get it. Oh wow, duplicate. Okay, this is interesting because I created the same logical name. It doesn't like it. Yeah, this is interesting. Like this part doesn't work and that other part works. It's just weird. Yeah, maybe we'll keep both of them for now. I think I will have to ask. Maybe LM knows. Let's try LLM. Maybe this will help me out. Oops. I am using Pulumi and the VPC ID output parameter is not being shown while other VPC ID is fine. VPC ID refers to a custom resource I created inside VPC resource py file. This issue occurs because VPC is a custom resource and its ID property refers to the component resource ID, not the underlying VPC ID. Okay, I think, but I registered VPC ID as an output using register outputs function. Is this not enough? LM driven development. Okay, this get output might be correct. Yeah, this what it suggested is clearly incorrect, because that's how I have it here. But VPC get output ID sounds interesting. What do you think about Pulumi versus Terraform? I think Pulumi is amazing. I have here a comparison somewhere. Yep. Yeah, so my main problems is Terraform is that because of DSL, you're really limited in some of the constructs that you can create. If you're creating simple resources like Lambda role, DynamoDB table, and API gateway, and there is no lot of hierarchy or looping, then it's okay. If you want to express something complex, for example, VPC, and you want to have a very good interface for your users, for consumers of that VPC, doing this in Terraform is really hard. So that's like one of my main problems. The second thing is, and then like we do all sorts of things to kind of like try to work around this, right? Like there are truly no conditionals, but they're kind of there. There are kind of for loops, but they're also quite limited there. Yeah. And then another my problem will be root module, right? So if you created a module that encapsulates a logic, and then you do multiple deployments of that module in different environments or different regions, Terraform doesn't really have good built-in tooling for this. And everything that was created has its own problems. Like Terraform workspaces, Terragrant, Terraform stacks, all of this have their own set of drawbacks. My main thing why I love Pulumi after my hands-on experience is because it's programming language. You can encapsulate any kind of logic you want relatively easy, but you can still have a simple interface for your consumers, right? So let me show this. Where do I have this? So here is, for example, VPC inputs that we created. You can do all sorts of things. You can do, like, for example, here I created an automatic subnet division based on the size that you provide. Doing this in Pulumi is so much more simpler than in Terraform. And then you get things like your any kind of programming language tools, like debugger, like all of the libraries that you like, you can use. Like all this stuff is pretty awesome. Thank you for follow, by the way, in it. Hey, Jake Harry, thanks for joining. State management can be pain as well. So I don't necessarily have a big problem with state management in Terraform. Like in general, state management is a problem, right? That's one of the reasons why there are some use cases where CloudFormation is just superior to everything else, because you don't have to manage that. You don't have to find a place for it like it kind of self-contained within a cloud. I think where I don't like state management in Terraform is this one. Let me try to find this. So parameterization in Terraform backend. So I suspect if they did it initially, then there would probably be less problems with the root module. So if you could somehow, through variables, like something like this, and this is not supported syntax, right? So if you could say that the path for a state file, let's say, encapsulates application, environment, and then region or something like this, then all of the like multi-environment deployments in pure Terraform would be easier. Like, I think that's my main problem with state management in Terraform. So like how, for example, TerraGrant solved this, right? So TerraGrant does Terraform code generation on the fly. So you kind of begin to have syntax like this, like almost. But then for different environments, it just like creates directories. When you execute a command, it will create it on the fly, right? We have also yesterday on the stream, we encountered a case which cannot be expressed in Terraform whatsoever. And I was very surprised by that. Let me like very briefly show this. And that's this case. So the thing here is when you create a VPC, you can have multiple VPC CIDRs. And then your subnets, technically they don't depend on they only depend on VPC. Like there is this in hierarchy going on, but subnet is not dependent on VPC CIDR association. So if you have multiple CIDRs, subnet technically is not in the like API, but it is implicitly it's dependent on, right? Like you cannot delete this block if you have a subnet from that IP block. So this makes tooling like Terraform and Pulumi kind of break when you either like delete or update stuff. You may break this. So the way you'd solve this in Terraform is using this depends on directive. The problem is when you do depends on and your resource is for each, like we would do this subnet for each because we want to have many of these subnets. If you say the subnet depends on VPC CIDR association, you'll say every single subnet now depends on every single of this resource. The consequence of this is if for whatever reason you wanted to expand the VPC, it will try to recreate all the subnets. And I know this because I saw this at a customer. And the only way to truly kind of solve this, like this depends on, will not really like work here properly. The only way you can solve this is when you exclude resources from using target, right? So you would say, I target only like this part of this type of resources. Let's update them first. And only after that, you can update everything else. But the core root of the problem is you couldn't express the dependency between subnets which were inside of a for each statement with a particular dependency, right? And we actually did this yesterday on the stream. And that's not something I was even thinking about until we encountered this. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Where, let me find this out. Yeah, here we kind of like doing the same thing where we iterate through every subnet, but then for every subnet I can say, okay, this subnet depends on this block, but this subnet depends on this block, right? So this makes this dependency tree much more smarter, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's go back to our thing. So, like, honestly, folks, I am confused by this. I would say I would need to go through, like, I'm not sure what's going on, but probably like I will leave this part. So my problem is here. You can have in the custom resource, you can use this function called self-register outputs, which we did, and you basically say like what is the outputs of this resource. Now we know this works because when I do go to Pulumi and I go to my stack for my custom resource, I can see these outputs over here, and they are what I expected them to be. Okay, so this looks fine. Here is my problem that like LLM also is suggesting me some crap. I now want for the whole stack to be able to export values. So like if someone wants to reference my stack, they can reference values from our stack. This doesn't seem to work with my custom resource, and I don't fully understand why. So, for example, when I created here another VPC, like the way Pulumi does things, and then I can reference it here very easily, right? So I say other VPC ID. My thinking process was because I registered outputs here, I should be able to access it like via dotted notation. And it just simply doesn't work, right? So, and LLM says that like, I mean, trusting LLM doesn't make sense, but like I couldn't really find why. Like, okay, this is completely wrong, but like VPC ID. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should try not ID but something else. Maybe let's do CIDRs. Maybe ID is just incorrect representation. Like maybe it's being overwritten by something. Yeah, it's just like it doesn't even know about this resource. And it's like, what's the difference between these two? Like in my eyes there isn't. But clearly there is. Like I am even thinking maybe I can go to definition here and try to find this output somehow. Maybe you folks could help me find it somewhere in the docs for this custom resource. Because it's kind of like I'm annoyed by it. I don't understand why. Component resource. Okay, this is something that this is useful. Not for our use case right now, but it is useful. You can reference. This is basically a data resource in Terraform. This is what it is. You retrieve a resource by ID, and then you can get query other parameters. Let's try maybe here from inputs, outputs. All Pulumi or resources accept values that describe the very resource. Okay. A resource. Pulumi is taking the output from one resource and using it as an input to another resource. Outputs. All resources will have properties. There is stack output and resource output. Stack output is a value exported at the end of successful update, usually intended for the use outside of Pulumi program context. Yeah, this is what we want. Or within another Pulumi program via stack reference. Fine. Resource output is something you might use within your Pulumi program to pass a value from one resource to another. Okay. Stack output might be a simple string, but resource output is a rich object within your program. Outputs are unique complex type because they are promises, so you cannot reference them directly. It's a way of representing values that are not initially known but will become available. Okay. Outputs are synchronous. If you need access and interact with an output plain value, you can do so using one of the following options. Used for accessing single output values, all used for accessing multiple output values. When an output from one resource has been returned from API, we can link the resources together. Okay, this apply we already used, but like let's go through this as well. Like I do think like this is very, very important to understand. Okay. Outputs are asynchronous. They're not immediately available. The values will only become available once the resource has finished provisioning. Okay, Pulumi preview. The outputs for a resource do not yet have possible values. Okay, that's fine. That makes sense. if you want to view the properties of a resource, you'll need to access them at the individual property level. The rest of the guide will demonstrate how to get a single property. Let's say you want to print an ID for the VPC you created. Now, I don't think this really applies to our case because we are doing Pulumi output. I suspect that it should resolve all kind of asynchronous operations first. If you update the program, run Pulumi up, you'll still not receive value you're looking for. Yeah, I mean, in this case, this makes total sense. That's fine. This is where we can do apply. Yeah, so apply function is how it's called in Python. I think run. Well, no, this would be like just what, a wait statement? Wait for a resource to be created. This is not something a standard print log is capable of doing. Yeah, we already saw this. Okay, how does it change with certificate? Oh, actually, this is our kind of our case. The resource will have outputs that resemble the following. Okay, I am not sure I understand what they're saying here. Because that value is an output. Yeah, let's go through this again. This is somewhat confusing. Okay, they create an ACM cert. That's fine. Then that cert has a bunch of properties like ARN and domain validation options. Okay. And then we want to validate this record. Okay. So we create a Route 53 record where we say a record should equal to like this. So they go to this certificate validation options, to this array. Then they do apply on this array, and then they access 0 and then this thing. Okay. You can use lifting. I don't understand what this means. So in this case, they don't do apply function. They just reference the resource. The same in TypeScript. It's implemented by overriding a special getAuthor method on resources so that expression resource.output which results in a call to resource to get other output becomes resource supply. This means that using adapter looks for okay. This approach doesn't work in all cases. Okay. Okay, how do we create outputs? Okay, you cannot merge strings. You need to use apply. Okay, so in this case, what they're doing, so instance is created. Then on what, another instance, DNS. I guess this is actually just incorrect code here. This should be instance, right? Here it's correct. Python code is incorrect. Okay. Should I ping them that they have here incorrect code? Let me make a note of this and send it to Pulumi guys. Okay, so we access this resource, public DNS, and then apply. Yeah, okay. We did this many times. And then we export this. Okay. Okay, maybe maybe let's try this. I don't expect this to work, but we can try. Huh, no, you know what? I think I might start understanding what's going on here. I think. Maybe no, or maybe I'm not sure. Like this dotted stuff seems a little bit could be like misleading. Like they did it via some magic in this other case that probably I made a mistake somewhere to implement so that we can do .id. But here is my own class. So it's possible that I kind of missed something here that makes it behave the same way, where I could do dot something and it will try to get an output for me. Okay, I will try. Yeah. Something here is wrong, and I'm not sure what it is. Oh, something interesting here is this child opts are not being used. Uh, Best practice is to call it in all components, even if no outputs have been registered. Let's see if this works. Component resources often contain child resources. The name of child resources often derived from component resources name to ensure uniqueness. I'm not sure what this is doing. Pull me resource option parent is equal to self. I suspect if we added, where can we add it? To the root component. Register outputs function with a dictionary. This is what we have. All of this looks good. just for the test. We'll probably have to recreate all of our resources right now. Okay, let's run this. Maybe we will try this as custom ID and see if that will show. Oops. All of the resources will be... Oh, wait, hold on. Oops. We need to give a name. Yeah, it absolutely doesn't like this. They get all. There was a function called what, all? What does all do? Follow me output. Lambda args 0. Let's see. Like, I don't expect this to work. Yeah. Yeah, all of this is just weird. I kind of get it. Like, we try to access an attribute, it doesn't exist. And yet, I don't understand how they did it. I want to import this and like try to find this somewhere. Like here they also created custom resource. Oh, okay. This is interesting. This is custom resource. This is not component resource like I have here. This is different. Okay, there are some inputs, blah, blah, blah. Init. Arguments, cool. Some other init stuff. Yeah, I think I will give up for now on this. I will ask there in their Slack channel. Can it be get? No, it cannot be. Or maybe it can be get. Can it be get? Pulumi.get. Let's try this. Like at this point, like why not? If this will work. You'll have to wait for all resources to be recreated. Okay, let's go read more of their documentation. Okay, Pulumi stack. This is where we state. This will just return outputs. There is some auto naming stuff that I also want to read about. Okay. So then some code is modified, create a new bucket object, and then you run it, and then none of this is all of this is straightforward. It's like the same kind of just resources. I'm more interested in this Pulumi part. Okay, this is interesting. So note that bucket object also includes Pulumi resource option depends on. This setting tells Pulumi that bucket object relies indirectly to views depends on. This would fail. At the end of the program, you export the bucket endpoint URL. You see, look at this again. But one interesting thing, they use this concat function on this website.endpoint. Kind of like just merge the strings, because otherwise you cannot. Okay, you pull me up this, and then this output is being shown. Fine. Pulumi stack output. And then what you just destroy, you can also delete the stack. Okay, like all of this we kind of went through. EC, I don't want to do EC for now. Let's go through other. So I think something I really want to understand is how it works, what are projects and what are stacks. Especially stacks is very interesting to me. Let's see. I think this worked. Yeah, so we still not getting this custom ID property here. I don't know what to do about this. This one is interesting. Look, this has changed. So previously these resources were all flat. And because I now provided this parent argument, now it has this hierarchy properly. This is good. Let's go ahead and do this, because that's something that was a little bit confusing to me. Let's see it in their UI as well. In UI didn't change really much. Maybe in the graph view. Maybe I have to update. Yeah, in UI, oh no, in UI you can see it changed a little bit. Yeah, I think I like this view better, because previously all these resources were like the same kind of flatness. This doesn't make any sense. So at least now it's kind of... Yeah, maybe I will go ahead and do it for all of them. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. And root. And here. Could it be that that was like really an issue, like this nesting stuff kind of didn't work? Yeah, no, I actually don't think this is the case, because we are trying now to reference this custom ID, which is just static value, and even that doesn't work. Yeah, this custom ID, VPC custom ID. Yeah, I give up on that. This failed. Why did it fail? Yeah. This one, I think we are so... I think I will just have to destroy this. I don't see like any other way. I'll have to destroy it and recreate it. Maybe this is, by the way, is correct. Okay, I will try these two other approaches that our LLM suggested, and then I will give up. And I've been telling this for the last 30 minutes that I will give up. loading this virtual gateway takes a long time. Okay, so now let's do Pulumi up. If this will work, this will be annoying. And I think this works. Oh no, because we can see it here. Come on, finish recreating. Yeah, creating this virtual gateway takes quite a long time. Look at this, now it works. So apparently I did have to reference nested resource. So I don't fully understand it. Because from my perspective, I should be able to get the outputs. Okay, I want to try this one as well. Yeah, get output, there is no function like this. And I think this also doesn't work. Yeah, so only this vpc.vpc works. Yeah, okay. All right, let's go back to docs. We can remove all of this. We can refresh this. Hopefully it's now proper. Yeah, this other VPC doesn't matter. But this subnets though, we didn't move subnets. Yeah, it's over here. It should be parent is equal to self. Okay, let it run. Let's focus on the docs. Okay, how Pulumi works. Desired state. Yeah. We know what state is. Pulumi program is executed by language host. Okay. We compare what we want with what we have to do it if. Engine uses resource providers, which are most of them are Terraform providers. It updates the state of your infrastructure with information about all resources. Okay. Language host over here. This is where our program is. CLI and engine. Engine uses providers. And then we write the new state. Okay. Language hosts will run our program and where we can register resources. Have language executor, which is a binary like Pulumi Python. And language SDK, this is just library. Okay, deployment engine. So this is what does diff, right? Yeah, this is what does diff and then does changes. God damn it, what's going on here? Okay. So if the resource exists, engine works with the resource provider to determine what has changed. We check if we can update in place or we have to update in place or replace. Okay. Resource provider. Resource plugin is a binary. They store it in the plugin cache. Let's check this out. Oops. Okay. Yeah, it's actually pretty big. 700 megabytes. Okay, so I guess this is like what the Terraform code itself compiled in Go. And then there is bindings. Yeah, this is a binary. Okay. Now we're on Pulumi stack init my stack. Since my stack is a new stack, the last deployment has no resources. Next, we run Pulumi app. Since this program is written in Python, Pulumi CLI launches a Python language host and requires that to execute it. When we construct this S3 bucket, language host sends resource registration to deployment engine and then continues executing program. Okay, so this we just sent basically an asynchronous request to deployment engine and say, hey, create S3 bucket for me. When you call S3 bucket, it doesn't mean that you create an S3 bucket. Okay, like this is basically await asynchronous task. It just means that we like register the task, basically. We continue to execute it. Is to create media bucket resource. Yeah, here. It uses AWS resource plugin to create a resource. And AWS resource plugin uses AWS SDK in order to create it. I thought it was actually Terraform, but okay. Note that engine doesn't talk directly to AWS. Instead, it just asks AWS resource plugin to create. Note that the engine doesn't talk directly to AWS. Okay. Since there is no dependency between two buckets, the engine can do it in parallel. Okay. So these two buckets are created in parallel. Okay. When both of them are complete, the language host exits the program finished running. This is how the state looks like. Okay. Then we make a change. Oh, this is due to a process called auto-naming. It uses Pulumi to allow you to deploy multiple copies of your infra. Okay, we change the tags. We run it again. In our state, we have media bucket. It recognizes that task has changed. It goes to resource provider if we can do it in place. Current state is updated. The engine also receives the resource registration request for content bucket. But there are no changes, so we don't make any changes. Okay, so now we change it to app bucket. There is no resource app bucket, so we need to create a new one. Okay. Okay, dependency tree. So kind of like Terraform, we keep track of the graph. We can augment with depends on. We did that. If a resource must be replaced, Pulumi will attempt to create a new copy of the resource before destroying the old one. This is actually, we already hit this, right? We're trying to recreate VPC. So it tried to create a new copy, but you couldn't do it. You need to do this delete before replace option. Okay. Yeah, that's something that we would probably have to add for some of the resources. Okay, I don't care about things like what is imperative, what is declarative. I just want my goddamn stuff to work. Yeah, we can go through this and through the stacks. Pulumi project is any folder with Pulumi YAML file. Let's go for a second and check this. Uh, where do my files go? Uh, I think it was on the right. What is happened? Um, okay, so any folder that contains this file is a project. You can create this Pulumi new project file. You say what is the runtime, some metadata about your project. Okay, so basically we're saying to Pulumi binary that you know my program is written in Python. Use basically Python, and that my project is like has this metadata like name and description. Okay. Okay, we for Python either setup py or main py. For JavaScript, it's package JSON. Here are some examples. So Node without TypeScript, Go is a file to binary, .NET, I don't care, Java, I don't care, Pulumi for YAML. You can do YAML inline, okay. When your Pulumi program refers to resources in the local system, paths are always relative to the working directory. When your Pulumi program refers to resources in the file system, paths are always relative to the working directory. Okay. We create an ECR image with relative folder /app. Okay. Pulumi get project. This will return. Okay, this is useful. We actually need this. Let's add this to our stuff, because this will return to us this VPCs. VPCs. Yeah. So this is the name of the project that is defined here, right? So if I say, I actually cannot rename it because our stack is already there registered. So stack is created in a project. We'll have a file called pulumi.stackname. Okay. Okay, I suspect you can provide the file path for this because that's something that we would need. Every Pulumi project has project file. Okay, so this is just a spec for the file. So everything that we can change. Okay, so you need name, runtime, description. Can be some config. Main, stack configure backend, template plugins. We can actually change the entry point here, which is good. Okay, toolchain, ppoetry UV, virtual env. Yeah, whatever. Type checker. I do want to use MyPy, by the way. So I would add this. Config. Okay. Let's go through the stacks and then I will probably wrap up. I do want to understand how the stack work. All right. Everything is deployed to a stack. It's isolated instance of Pulumi program. Okay. You can basically name it whatever you want. Awesome. You can have as many stack as you need. Okay, so I want to create a new stack. So this will be Pulumi stack new. No, init. And we will encode all of our dimensions for our application. So say this is tbot, this is application name. We'll say our region is still ear central 1 and this is prod. So I suspect no, YAML file is not created for me. Okay, you can have just stack name for like current user. You can have org name, stack name if you are part of the org. You can also have org name, project name, stack name. Okay, for self-managed backends, you put organization. Okay. Given the stack, my org, my project dev, this is all equivalents. Okay. All right, so we should be able to see our stack, which we do. We can select the stack as well using stack select. Okay. You can save plan. Yeah, I actually want to do this. Update plans. Okay, this is good to update the currently selected. You can also do it from plan. Awesome. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. I need to understand what is the Pulumi, what this file does. Just Paul, hey, welcome. Okay, you can have metadata. There are some default tags. We can actually check what stack we have. Pulumi tag ls. Okay. Okay, just some metadata. You can add more tags. Okay, whatever. Stack output. Stack and export values as stack outputs. This is what is shown in the CLI. Okay, that's what we were trying to do unsuccessfully today. we can get a stack from programmatically. We actually need this. Stack references we did. Export. It's fine. Reading outputs from stack references. That's fine. Import output, destroy stack, delete stack. I am not seeing what I'm looking for. Where it describes. Or maybe it's because this project file reference, maybe it's here. And then it will, yeah, I think this is correct. It kind of like just merges the two. Yeah, no, I don't see this reference, to be honest. Okay, I will do one small thing and then I do have to go. I will try to create this prod here. And the way we will see it is if IP address is different, basically. If you see different IP address, then we know that it works. I've also removed this virtual gateway because it takes too long. Let's remove some of these entries just to make it faster. Okay. So our stack is dbot euc prod. Yeah, I couldn't find the reference. If someone can help me find the reference for this file, what does it do? That would be great. Like, I can't find this. Okay. So we want to deploy now this file. Let's also change this like this. Okay. If I go to my main PY and I say when I load this config, instead of I had here static values, right? I will just get stack I don't like how this looks like. We'll say file pass str and then something like this. And then in our main py, we will say this will be applications. And then here stack, we kind of need to parse out, right? Let's say stack replace return a copy with all occurrences of substring replaced by new. So we will replace all hyphens with slashes, right? Like this. We can say from path lib import path, and we will create path from applications, delete by path from this stack replace. Right, so what this is supposed to do is the stack is dbot euc1 prod. We have dbot euc1 prod. If we did everything correctly, we will now reference another EPC, basically, right? And my only problem here is this naming conventions here. I would say I need what? So we have app name, region, environment. This will be stack split. Like this. Like this. And here we'll say app and environment. We need to select the stack. And we need to deploy it. Hopefully this works. Hey, Nassim. No such file or directory file path. This should be over here. Let's go. Will this work? Okay, this does seem like it's creating something. So if we did everything correctly, this should result in the Hopefully I still have access to my account in 2 VPCs. Which we do. We have our debot dev, debot prod. We have this cider here, this cider here. So we now created multiple VPCs. Yeah, and so good. So now we very easily like create VPCs. Now, yeah, this is awesome. I think this is a good outcome that I wanted to achieve before for today. Something else that I want to understand is this. How do I now, or maybe even inline, is there a way for me not to create these files, Pulumi like this and like that? Like that's one thing. Second thing, I want to find a reference to this file because I couldn't find where it is in the docs. What does it do? Like ideally I would, if I need, there is some metadata, I want to add them in the respective folders, maybe even here, so that I don't create this stuff unnecessary. Maybe there should be a way I could do it programmatically as well. Like I could pass it somewhere in my program saying deploy this in this region or something. So I'll have to investigate it. Right, folks. Yeah, I think I will have to go for now. We did another piece of work. Now we can create these multiple stacks from the same template, which is pretty good. I do want to reach out to Pulumi team and ask them some questions for some of the stuff that I don't fully understand. Yeah, and then we will continue probably on Friday, I think. So make sure you are part of my Discord channel. That's how you will get notified of my streams. You subscribe to my YouTube. And yeah, on the Twitch, I try to keep my schedule up to date. Whenever I know that I'm going to stream, I update it. But that's the usual time I will be going live. So probably on weekdays around 5 p.m. Central European time. This will be 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time, right? All on weekdays. So unless there is something I need to do, I will try to do it almost daily, right? So streaming yesterday, today, my next stream is going to be on Friday. With that, thank you so much and talk to you next time. Bye-bye.